Welcome to Chamber Exchange, a TV show. My name is Tim Murray, President and CEO of the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce. And Chamber Exchange, the TV show, is an opportunity for us to have a conversation with our guests on issues of economic development and job creation here in central Massachusetts. And our show is made possible by our sponsor, bankHometown. And serendipitously here today, we have the President and CEO of bankHometown, Rob Morton. Rob, welcome.
Thank you, Tim. It's always a pleasure. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, well, first, thank you for bankHometown's support of the show, which we're able to bring on our guests and talk about what our particular member businesses and organizations are doing, but kind of broader issues of economic development in the region.
Sure. Well, once again, thank you for inviting us, and we're glad to support. You guys do a great job, and anything we can do to help the Chamber, you know we're here.
Yeah, no, you've been a great partner. Well, so some exciting news for bankHometown. Your footprint and relationships grows throughout the Commonwealth. Maybe you could share with our viewers
Sure.
about the newest acquisition.
Sure. Well, I think maybe just kind of give a broader context of what Hometown Financial Group is. As you recall, I used to be with Millbury Savings Bank for almost 20 years. And then 3 years ago, matter of fact, the merger date, anniversary, third year merger date will be October 19th, where Millbury Savings merged into bankHometown.
We should have had birthday cakes and balloons
Yeah,
here.
it would have been nice. That's okay, maybe next time. Actually, bankHometown is part of the Hometown Financial Group, which is actually three banks. We have bankHometown, which is in Central Mass and Northeast Connecticut. We have 16 locations, about $1.4 billion. Bank ESB is to the west. They have 11 locations, about $1.7 billion. And then to the east, we have Abington Bank. And to your point, we are closing on our merger tomorrow with Envision Bank, which was the former Randolph Savings Bank, into Abington Bank, which they will then become about 10 branches, $1.4 billion. So collectively, we're going to be a $4.4 billion mutual holding company. And the way I like to describe it to people, it's the best of both worlds. We have the brain power, the capacity, the ability to afford the technology to like the bigger banks, and we can do more complex deals and things of that nature. But we still have the heart, the soul, the approachability, the responsiveness of a community bank, and it's really resonating in the marketplace.
Yeah, and that you mentioned that. We know that given some of the things that have happened over the last 10 or 12 years, more requirements put on banks, and those requirements are not without cost. And so for banks now to be competitive, you've got to have a certain level of scale. If you want to compete to do loans of certain levels, how do you bring the resources to bear? And so that's what this arrangement allows.
Well, you're absolutely right. We call it our shared service business model. So what happens is, each bank doesn't have its own operations department. It doesn't have its own loan servicing department. It doesn't have its own marketing department. One of those functions is concentrated in one of the banks, and we share that. So we enjoy the economies of scale with that shared service business model.
And then those are costs that by eliminating that redundancy, those are costs that you can pass on in terms of competitive rates or arrangements with your clients.
Or even more, I think more importantly, yes, you have to be competitive in rates, but it's staying with the accelerated change in technology.
Right.
To your point, you referenced a 10-year period. A little over 10 years ago, there were 160 banks in Massachusetts. Today, there's a little over 100. Comparatively, Connecticut has 32 banks.
Wow.
And so that trend is going to continue over the next decade or so. Where do we end up? It's anyone's guess, but 50, somewhere around there. And what's driving it is two things. One is community banks and credit unions have enjoyed a very loyal, stable, savings-oriented customer base that is aging, right? So that's one dynamic. And then the other dynamic that I had mentioned earlier is the accelerated change of technology. If you cannot stay up with it, it's going to be problematic. So there's going to be continued pressure on community banks and credit unions given those dynamics over the next decade. And we think we have, like I said, the best of both worlds, a business model, and we hope to find other partners. Case in point, Hometown Financial Group is really the assemblage of 9 different banks over the last 15 plus years. So that kind of gives you an idea of how we're dealing with, because we want to be a viable, relevant going concern 10, 20 years from now.
Right. And you mentioned, kind of the traditional kind of savings bank oriented, but Bank Hometown, you offer an array of services, commercial, working with on the commercial lending side, residential mortgages. I mean, maybe you could talk a little bit about the scope of services.
Well, thank you for just helping me along with this, because you're hitting all the points I wanted to make. So yeah, our focus, we do provide the traditional products and services, but we do a lot of commercial lending. We can lend up to 26 million ourselves, and then the big focus is commercial industrial lending. But the other thing that I'm really excited about this merger of Envision into Abington Bank is Envision has a robust mortgage company. Currently, we offer the adjustable portfolio products. We can sell to Freddie and Fannie, but we don't have the whole host of products. Envision is bringing all that day one. Mm-hmm. So they have an office in Westboro. We're going to be bringing that office to our Millbury location. Mm-hmm. And with that group, we're now going to be able to offer FHA loans, VA loans, and USDA loans. FHA loans are low down payment. They're meant for people that may have a little lower FICO score, some more flexible standards. VA loans are obviously for veterans, no money down. And then USDA, while not as popular in this area because of the obvious reason, and therefore rural areas, in other parts of the county and in Northeast Connecticut, it's very popular. So, we're going to be more competitive now because of that.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, you get out, west of 495, much more rural than people think, in terms of some of the veteran numbers, population as well. But that's important opportunity for the bank and for people within the region. As we talk about, Worcester's growth, but Central Mass's growth has been, I think, 64,000 residents added in Central Mass from the last sentence. I think Worcester was 26,000. Those people are going to need somewhere to live. Yep. And so whether they're renting or the new housing that's being built, rental housing, but also home ownership opportunities, we want to have the chance for those potential homeowners to get good rates and good products.
Yeah, and our footprint is, we've got 3 locations in North County. We have 4 or 5 locations in Central Mass City, a couple in City of Worcester. 4 locations in South Central Mass, and then 5 locations in Northeast Connecticut. So we really do that 190, 290, 395 belt. We really do cover that quite nicely.
Right, and for the city itself, home ownership comparatively to other areas is not as strong, and that's an area that the chamber are trying to promote, working with our lender members and institutions, realtors and others, and letting the population know that there are a whole array of products that promote home ownership, which is about wealth creation and economic opportunity. Right.
No, and exactly. We're hoping to be involved in a project coming up that's working, focusing on workforce housing. So that's something that's near and dear to our heart. So yeah, we're trying to do all the right things. That's the business side. But we also, I talked about the best of both worlds. The heart and soul of Community Bank. We're also very focused on giving back to the community. Yes. Yeah. So we have a program called the Giving Tree, which last year we donated over $300,000. We've donated about $2.3 million over the last 10 years. And one of the things that is coming up, one of our big areas of focus is food insecurity. Trying to help with the poverty cycle and financial literacy. One of the things that we have coming up is our program called Neighbors Helping Neighbors, where we reach out to our customers in the community and say, for every dollar you donate, we'll match it dollar for dollar up to $2,500 per donation. Mm-hmm. And those monies are then distributed out to local food pantries. Last year we donated about $39,000, and I think we've donated close to $250,000 since its inception. And the importance of donating cash to these organizations is, it's good to get food, but having a cabinet full of pasta doesn't really address the nutrition. Right. So by giving these organizations cash, they can then supplement what's donated and get fresh produce and vegetables and things of that nature. Yeah, it's a big thing. And we're talking about Worcester County being more little rural than they think. I mean, we have more farms in Worcester County than any other county in Massachusetts, so that's also a way for them to support kind of locally sourced food, which is the healthiest food and doesn't emit the greenhouse gases on transportation. But we got a minute left. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of Bank Hometown's engagement, involvement in the community. It's not just in kind of
financial contributions, which are hugely important to lots of local organizations and groups, but also your staff getting involved, and you lead by example.
So you mentioned farms. So we're helping Community Harvest. They have a farm in Grafton, and a group of us were just up at the orchard, picking, bagging apples, boxing them, and that'll be distributed to places like the Worcester County Food Bank and others. Once again, helping that tradition. We're going back out with another group, myself included. But one of the things I'm really I'm not excited, but I'm very emotional about is a group of us are going out on November 18th to Veterans Inc. And we are assembling and putting together all the fixings for a Thanksgiving meal. Then another group of us are going back on the 22nd, our commercial lending group, our credit department, and our commercial loan administration group, and we're going there to serve the meals to the veterans that are homeless or veterans in need. And so I think it's going to be a very humbling experience for our staff, but I think it'll be a very worthwhile experience.
Really, and the essence of what community banking is all about, not only financially making opportunities happen, but also giving back and leading. So, well, Rob, thank you again for Bank Hometown's commitment in making this show happen and helping tell the story of our members and economic development in the region, but also for the work that you're doing on a variety of fronts.
Well, thank you, Tim. It's always a pleasure, and looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Good. Stay with us. We got 2 more segments of this edition of Chamber Exchange, the TV show.
These days, you've got your hands full in life. That's why we help you bank simply and securely with tools like Face ID and Touch ID. It's why we make it easy to make purchases on the go and get cash back while you're at it. Why we help you quickly deposit checks wherever you are. And it's why we lend a hand with sending and receiving money right from your phone. So even when you're on the move, you can manage your finances. Bank Hometown. Unlock your potential.
Worcester, a city with heart, history, and promise. A hub of innovation in life sciences, education, and healthcare. Home to multi-generational families, first-generation citizens, and next-generation baseball and hockey greats. Home to great parks, world-class museums, theaters, and restaurants. Worcester, the place to visit, to invest, and to call home.